Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and my little family, actually my husband and I, we just got back from saying goodbye to a dear relative who's probably at the end of her life. She's got Alzheimer's, she's got a heart condition, COPD. She's probably in her last days. There's no way to know for sure though, right? So we're in a process. We're in a process of saying goodbye. And it brought to mind this book that I have been both setting down, running away from, and then I'll come back to it a couple days or a week later for the same reason I walk away, because it's reminding me of the situation that we're in right now. This year's been particularly hard. We've already said goodbye to one Aunt Joan. Then we said goodbye to Aunt Ruth. We said goodbye to Miss Mary and Aunt Mary. And we know there's more coming our way. This time is so depressive and isolating for our seniors especially. And it's another reason. There's so many layers to why this book is figuring in. It's almost like they're isolated, like they're in a convent or monastery. So in this book, Nicholas Diat goes from monastery to monastery. Some of them may be friaries or convents. And he's talking to the monks and friars about those who have passed from their lives, as well as those who are currently in the process, and how modern medicine has both helped that time and how it's hindered that time. So it's A Time to Die, Monks on the Threshold of Eternal Life. It is published by Ignatius Press, and the foreword is by Robert Cardinal Sarah. The prose in this book is beautiful. I do believe it's been translated, which is what knocks my socks off, that it's still such an amazingly beautiful book, even though it was translated. And even as they talk of them, like, sorry, I need to go back just a smidge to catch that one. As they talk to a father, since then he has been in his new situation. He did not take anything to his new room. Thanks to the radio system, he can listen to all the offices as well as the chapter meetings and the reading in the refectory. The brother is not bored. He is alone with God. According to Dom Oliver, Brother Hadrian has never known such peace of soul and mind. A few years ago, Dom Oliver had asked medical professors from the Dijon University Hospital to come to speak to the monks about palliative care, life-prolonging interventions, and sedation. He has not yet been directly confronted with these problems. He knows, however, that communities have to face them. Naturally, the monks of Citeaux, I'm never sure how to pronounce these, sorry friends, are convinced that they must accept God, that God can come to take any of them at any moment. If doctors are asked to take a very old brother in critical condition to the hospital, it is highly likely they would refuse. The monks will always prefer their religious be able to die in the abbey. Dom Oliver cited the example of Brother Felix. He did not want to go to the hospital anymore. In the ambulance that was taking him to Dijon, he considered that it was not the disease that would cause him to die, but the loads of medications he would be asked to take. He did not want additional care. He was eager to see God. The rule of the monks in Citeaux is a simple one. One has to die someday. And then he goes on. At the end of the afternoon, we went to the large abbey cemetery. At the bend of an avenue in the solemn enclosure, Dom Oliver turned to me and said, "The hardest death is the little daily death, when we are perfectly healthy. In life, we go from one death to another. They prepare us for an ultimate end. Little deaths of the ego are the big deaths, and they allow for a good death. Why do some monks experience more difficult deaths than others? I cannot explain to you the reasons why God distributes our final trials so unequally. Perhaps monks carry for humanity's fears and anxieties. One day my father told me he was not afraid of death. I told him that this was not a sign of holiness. Peaceful deaths are not necessarily the most holy. Good monks can experience anxieties when they embark for heaven." I just feel like this is such a beautiful reflection. And it says, no, yes, some people might take on the sufferings of others in their final moment. Again, I've told you, I think I've told you before, as a young girl, you know, young teenager, I guess, I used to cry myself at night begging the Lord to give me some of my father's pain that he was experiencing, that I could take that little bit of a burden off him. And every now and then when I'm sick, like when I had the shingles or whatever, I reflect on that. And I did ask for that pain. I did. And it's fair that I have it. And so I try not to be super whiny or anything, but to know that that is a sacrifice that I was willing to make. And so I have to suck it up and accept that I am making that sacrifice. I asked for that, and not everybody maybe asks for it. Why death is the way it is a complete mystery to us. But as we reflect on it, we have to say things like, while we went to say goodbye to Aunt Joan, the only way to really connect with her was to go to her earlier days, to go to those earlier memories with us. She wasn't ready for the memories of now. The recollection of now isn't where she's living. She's living in some people say, like, people with Alzheimer's live in the past because that's all they remember. And reflecting between the book and the experience, I don't know that that's exactly it. Are they living in the past, or are they getting ready for their future? The people of their past are the people that seem to be coming to them. Aunt Joan said just the other day that she had tea with her grandmother, and she talks to her parents frequently. When she goes back to those memories of the past, they're now connected. It's like there's this little timeline of her life, and where people dropped out of her life is now a loop like this because she's picked them back up. She's forgotten the time when they were gone. She remembers them in a continual line. She doesn't remember that little dip anymore. And that's kind of a beautiful thing, that pain of not having them anymore is gone for her. She remembers them as if that did not occur. She remembers it in a complete timeline that's still going forward for her. She is making new memories. She's making new memories, friends. And that's beautiful. She's not making them with us, because we're the ones that are dying to her as she is going on to her eternal life. And it's a different perspective to imagine that we are still the ones. We are the ones who are dying. We're dying those little deaths every day to our ego. We think like we need to say goodbye to her. She needs to hear that, but maybe she doesn't. We are the ones dying. She is saying goodbye to us, not us saying goodbye. It's so confusing, but so beautiful. She's in eternity. She is stepping into eternity, and she's kind of leaving us behind for a moment. But the beautiful thing is she's going to pick right up when she sees us again. And again, when they talk to that little death, that big death, I guess, of dying every day, the little big deaths we do every day of dying to self. Again, in this time of COVID, is that something that we're doing? Are we dying to ourselves every day, or are we turning more inward? And that's something we have to be super, super careful of. It's something that's causing a lot of depression and anxiety for people. So try and think, and we've talked before about projects that you maybe can do for others. Right now, where my friends and I are knitting these tiny little baby blankets, and they are tiny. This is probably about as big as it's going to get. They are tiny because they're for babies who don't get to go home with their mommies and daddies right now, but that they will see them again one day. And so the hospital had asked us if we could make these tiny little blankets for those dear little ones who will be separated from us for a time, but not forever. And it is helping me to think of others, because for so many others, their lives are going on in other ways. And yeah, I'm bored, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm inconvenienced by my husband being home, but I'm also blessed by him being home, right? You have to look at both sides right now of every coin, and remember to think of the other. How can we make their lives better? And if you're stuck in your house, it could be, how do you make your life better for your husband? Or planting a flower out in your yard so that when the neighbors walk by, they can see it. You could maybe think of donating some money or a gift card to your local senior home or community where they could buy activities that people can do socially distant or a little bit apart from each other, right? Or even a puzzle book that they can do in their room, some new books. Seniors oftentimes have limited budgets and they're not getting out. They can't get out to a library to get a book. So maybe bless someone with an Audible account or a book subscription where a book is going to come every month. So we need to be creative, and I know all of you are super creative and super thoughtful, so I'd really love it if you can put comments down below on how we can help each other think outside of ourselves and just reflect on that beautiful, beautiful moment that while we're saying goodbye to our loved ones because we may be missing them, that they are picking right where they left off with others, and that they're beginning their eternal life. And as hard and difficult a transition it is, that we know that we can trust in the Lord, that He is coming for them. We've all heard of those instances where people die for just a moment or two and they see the light, or they see their grandparent coming for them, or Jesus as they see. That's our goal, friends, that life in eternity. So remember, some of us are closer to that than others. And what a blessing for them. And as hard as it is for them to leave us behind, that we'll see them again soon. We'll all see each other soon enough if we take the time to live the gospel life now. And it's such a creative, wonderful opportunity we have to live that gospel life, to really grow in our trust, to grow in our relationship with God the Father. This is a beautiful time for that. So friends, I'm encouraging you, absolutely pick up this book. And if it's difficult for you because it's ringing a little true and a little close to home, it's okay to put it down for a little while. But I invite you, friends, to make that hard choice and pick it up again. This is a beautiful book helping us reflect on that time as we move, as it says, through the threshold to eternal life. God bless you, friends.